Hello, welcome to the Carousel of Conversations. You're in for a real treat. Join us as we take a spin through the past, present, and future of all things Disney. Here, where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a podcast away. Let the podcast begin.
Welcome everyone to the podcast.
Grandmother.
That's what I do. I schedule. I plan to do like little funny things like at 2 seconds before we start to record, so everyone's completely disoriented. But welcome to the podcast, everyone, where we all wear sunglasses indoors because we're all too hot to look at.
Listen,
that's exactly it.
It was Spirit Week at my school this past week, and it's like the kids wore sunglasses all week long, like in class and everything.
word.
And I'm like, I can't. And like Noah, I don't know if you're a part of this generation or not, but like even like the dimness on their computer, it's so dim. And they're like, can you help me with this? I'm like, we first brighten the screen a little bit? Like, I can't even see what you're doing.
No, my screen's like a mom in bed looking at Facebook when it's at full brightness when the entire room's dark. That I keep all of my displays at full brightness.
Me too.
I keep mine at full brightness too. That's my preference.
Damn!
Oh.
Oh no, no! I keep mine. Even last night, I updated my iPhone to the latest iOS last night, and it went a lot longer than I thought. And RJ had already fallen asleep, but I got my Kindle out and I was reading on like bright. And he rolled over. He's like, "How are you not blind?" I'm like, "I'm seeing everything perfectly fine."
Now at night when I'm in my bedroom with the lights down or off, like I will dim my screen down. But
yeah,
like,
I'll dim
in
it a
a
little
bright room. I won't. Yeah, so it just kind of depends. But anyway, welcome Karisa, my sister, who we used to call Brat when we were growing up because she was sort of a brat, but also because it's just a fun nickname. This is Karisa, and she works for the same travel agency as me. She is more we both work for Famvia, and she is more of a Disneyland person than a Disney World person. And so we brought her on to discuss the Disneyland portion of tonight's episode because tonight we have a super exciting topic to discuss. And that is something that's a little bit special. First I want to say my line.
Not too special.
I am very excited about tonight's episode.
As per usual.
We have something special planned because we are going to be talking about RunDisney, which is something I think we've all done in some way, shape, or form, all four of us. And so we're going to be discussing a little bit of the RunDisney process. Now, for Jessalyn and I think our race that we did in person was like in 2018. So it's been a little bit since we've done a RunDisney event.
2020 for me. Okay.
I did both of mine in 2018. So
Yeah, but Karisa we brought on to who has recently done one at Disneyland, and it may be actually the last one from what I understand, or the last one for a while.
Most recent one, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're talking about not doing them at Disneyland anymore with all the construction and everything going on. They're gonna like take a pause on them, if you will. So, so anyway, she is
like where they usually do their race. Is where they do the races where like they're going to be doing Pandora Land and all that kind of stuff. So
gotcha.
a lot of that like construction that's going on is going to prevent them from being able to do races for the next couple of years. That's what I heard anyway. So yeah, but Karisa got to do one. I almost called her Jessalyn. That's awkward.
That was awkward as it would have been for me.
Karisa got to do one just recently, and so we're very excited to get her perspective on the Disneyland one. We've known a lot of people even too, like Jared we had on a few weeks ago. Jared and Jessalyn's other brother Jonathan have actually done a Dopey challenge, which we'll talk about a little bit later too, but that's just like an incredible feat that I will never ever do.
There's a reason it's called the Dopey challenge. Only a dopey would participate in it.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, and I'm very excited about about the Run Disney events. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our first topic, which was getting into Run Disney. Like, how did each of you hear about your Run Disney events, like your experiences? Did you just hear about it through, Disney news, or did somebody tell you about it? So we'll start with Karissa, since she's the guest, and we'll ask her, how did you hear about Run Disney events?
I've known about them forever. Like, I always knew that they were a thing, but I'm just not a runner. I don't enjoy running. I don't want to run. But I just decided, I was like, you know what? I need to set a goal for myself. Like, let's try to do something a little different. And so if I'm going to run, I'm going to run at my happy place because that's the only other place that I would run at. So,
Right.
so I've known about it for a long time,
Exactly.
just never knew really how to do it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And Noah, how did you hear about Run Disney events?
Well, first my mom did a race in 2018 or so, and then
Me.
yeah, it was with you. You guys had outfits. You were both
Yeah,
Minnie Mouse.
I made us tutus.
I think she still has that somewhere.
Oh man. Wow.
But yeah, my mom was showing me, and she's like, "Oh, look, Noah, they have like the attractions virtual Run Disney races happening this year. It was 2020, and I was like, "Oh, I want to do those," so I did them.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Jessalyn, you can tell our story since we both
Well,
had the same
I
story.
was introduced to Run Disney through my brother Jared, who was on a couple weeks ago. And last time he was on, I had made mention that one day he texted us and he was like, "Let's do a big family vacation at Disney." And the reason why was because that particular trip, he was running the Dopey. And so not only did we have a big family trip, but we got to see him do the Dopey Challenge, which is 4 races in 4 days. And so that's how we were introduced to it. And so we trained to run one of those races. So Jared did all 4 and RJ and I trained for the 10K along with Noah's mom, my other sister-in-law, and my dad, who I have a really funny story about that whenever we want to talk about it. But so after that, Noah got plugged in with the virtual runs because we were really enjoying running at the time. And then my oldest brother started training for the Dopey. And in fact, RJ and I were training for a 10K. At one point, we were going to go back to Disney and do not a 10K, a half marathon.
A half. Yeah.
We were going to go back to Disney to do a half marathon. I've always wanted to do the Princess half. And I got pregnant with Bella, and I am like Karissa. I hate running. I will look, for any reason not to run. And so when I got pregnant, I was like, can't run anymore. And I haven't been running since. So
Well, and I started training for the half marathon. Still, I kept training even through the pregnancy. And it wasn't until about the time that we had Bella that I gave up on it, because I was also in school at the time doing a college program, and my college program just got overwhelming. We had just had Bella, and trying to stay up those first couple months when you're like sleep deprived, and then all at the same time COVID hit. And so it was like, don't go outside because you're, and all that stuff right as soon as it hit. So it all happened at once. So I got up to like 10 miles or 12 miles of running on my training, and I was doing really well, and I was really excited. And then I kind of just gave up on it as well. And so, but I did enjoy the time where I was a runner. I need to probably get back to that a little bit more. But it was a blast. And we had done a bunch of 5Ks, Jessalyn and I had.
Yeah.
But this was our first 10K that we had ever done, which was a lot further than what we had done previously. So I felt like it was a huge accomplishment. But it wasn't Karissa's accomplishment. You did the half, right?
Yeah, I did the full half marathon, and let me tell you, I'm still sore. Like, I still have issues from it, but it was honestly such a cool experience. It's one of those things that, like, you do have to train, you do have to put a lot of work into it. It's more mental than you think it is. I would say, like, it was probably my highest highs and some of my lowest lows in life, like literally in that 13 miles. Because like you just, it just a lot fluctuates, and it's really hard just to push through mentally and actually accomplish it. But I'm really proud of it. I was like you, I just wanted to set a goal for myself. I was like, you know what? if I'm going to pay, and we can talk about price if you want, but if I'm going to pay a ridiculous amount to run in Disney, I'm going to make sure
Yeah.
that ultimately I'm going to accomplish it. My biggest fear in life was getting swept by the balloon ladies. So I was like, I will not make
Oh,
that will not
yes,
happen to me.
yes.
I didn't have that fear.
Whatever, you should have, Noah, you should have had your mom walk behind you with a balloon.
No, she was the one that would push me. I'll be like, can I like walk for like a minute longer? She goes, no, we gotta run. I'm leaving you behind. I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
Nice. All right, let's go into that and let's talk about that. What was your training preparation like? Did you use any training guides to prepare for your races? Did you just, like in Noah's case, did you just jump right in and do a 5K, or did you train for a little bit? Like, what was your training like? We'll start with Noah. What was your training like for your virtual 5Ks? I know it's different because you were doing it from home, but did you have any sort of training regimen that you did before you actually logged your hours for your 5K?
I actually did, yeah. So me and mom would wake up at like 7 or 6 in the morning or something and run like not very far. It would be like 2 miles or something.
Yeah.
And then we would like do a loop around the house and then come back. And we did that for like a month. And then we finally did like the 5K. And we did all 3 of those because I had to do 3 over the summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't do a lot of training. Like, it's only a 5K. It's not that. It's not
Yeah.
very far. But yeah,
But that's
just what
an
we did.
accomplishment. Like a 5K,
Yeah.
like I don't want you to just belittle that. Like a 5K is, I was in great shape running the 10K, and I used to run 5Ks all the time when RJ first got married. I walk up my stairs and I'm about to pass out. So like a 5K would be a huge accomplishment
Yeah,
for me right now.
But we also had
for me too.
we had an app that would tell us
Yes.
like time to run, time to like cool down and stuff.
Yes.
And that was actually the most useful thing because I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to just run for like 20 minutes consecutively, which I
Right.
probably should have been doing, but I wasn't.
So that's what
But-
Jessalyn and I did as well. We used an app, and we used the
Runkeeper.
Nike app. Well, we started with
Oh.
the Nike app, and then we went to
Did we?
Runkeeper.
Okay.
Yeah. At that time, it was the Nike app, and then we went to Runkeeper, and we started using that. And then we followed a plan. It was the
I know. I was just trying to think of
starts
that
with the
plan.
G, Galloway plan maybe. And that was the one that Disney offered on the Run Disney website. It was like the Galloway plan, or if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, but they had a training plan where you would like run so many leading up into the actual race, and they would tell you when to start your Galloway plan and when to get ready for it. And so like I think that was really cool of Disney, is that they had those plans available for anybody to download, and it was like a training. And to get you ready for it, like they would tell you to run, if you're running a 10K, which is 6 miles, they would tell you to run 7 a few weeks before your final race, just so that when you did run 6, it would be easier to you. And then they had like a only run on these days, and like you're running 1 mile here, 3 miles here, and then 6 miles here, or whatever. And so we were following that plan pretty closely to help us train for that. And I think it was really helpful. We didn't necessarily run the entire thing like a sprint or a cross country event, like we did more of a run walk thing, where we would run for like a minute and then walk for a minute. But that was just what worked for us, and it was perfect for us, no doubt about it. Carissa,
Now,
what was your... Oh,
yeah, I was going to say, I'm really curious how Carissa trained, because I know her husband is a runner, right? He's pretty athletic. So like, I'm so grateful that RJ is not super athletic, and I don't mean to call him out like that, but like if
wow.
he would push me, if he would push me to the limits, I would just cry all the time. So, like, I'm curious how that was like for you.
Those
And
scenarios.
What was your training like
No.
for this thing?
Yeah, I honestly did follow Training Plan Husband. I did have like one of those like actual like here's the run plan and here's what you should do on what week and things like that. But my husband usually was like, we could
Mm.
just go a couple more miles. We got a couple more miles in us, and he pushed me way harder than I probably would have pushed myself. And I'm really grateful for that now that like the race actually hit. I will say I did not run it like all of it. I did intervals. I was pretty darn proud of myself. Majority of the race, I was able to keep with like the pacers for the like finishing in 3 hours, and I was pretty darn proud of it because those people were working, which I don't think people realize, or I didn't realize that in RunDisney events that they do have pacers, and you can keep track with them, and so they'll tell you, they'll yell it out like time to run, okay, time to walk, and that was really cool. So I kind of stayed with them for a
Nice.
while.
Yeah.
Um, and that was really helpful. And then I would say I like did pretty good intervals for like the first 7 miles. And I don't know what it is about. That was when we got, unfortunately with Disneyland, at that point you get out of the parks. The last like 6 miles, you don't get to run in the parks. You run it on the streets just because the parks aren't big enough
Oh.
and they have to open the
Oh,
parks.
yeah.
So because of that, I
Gotcha.
kind of died after I got out of the parks. Because when you're in the parks, man, it
Sure.
is a
Yeah.
party. There was at one point the DJs were like playing the YMCA, and you've got like 1,000 people just doing the YMCA
Yeah.
in the middle of the
Oh, that's
parks, and like
amazing.
everyone is just vibing. And I love that.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
that's
once I
well, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, with our experience with our 10K, it was the opposite. You start on the back roads. You don't start in the parks. You finish at the Epcot ball. So so
Oh,
since we did
that's
the 10K,
cool.
we only ran through Epcot and Epcot resorts. But if you did the Dopey, you got to go through like Disney or Magic Kingdom and stuff. So we start in the back lots, but then you finish at Epcot. So I totally get that mentality because I remember at the beginning of our race, I was thinking, this is it. This is just trees. Like there are people running to the trees to use the bathroom, like what is happening? And then once you come in through the backside of Mexico, man, that is so cool. You've got cast members cheering for you. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and not all of the
Yeah.
races end in the same place. So, like, depending on what you're doing, a 5K, a 10K, half or full, they may not end in Epcot. They may end at ESPN Wide World of Sports, or
Mhm.
like in the Dopey Challenge, I believe the final race, the marathon, ended at Magic Kingdom. But I could be totally
Mhm.
wrong on that
Right.
too. But like each race had their own spot where they ended the race. So like, don't guarantee that it's gonna be one or the other. But yeah. And then Carissa, you also had something happen right before the race, which is like everyone's worst nightmare, in that you got a little bit hurt, correct? And so like, what was that like going into the race, knowing you were hurt or injured and you had paid all this money, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You'd paid all this money and trained all this time, and then right before the race you get hurt.
Yeah, I pulled it's called the soleus muscle, which is essentially the muscle when you are like actually bending your foot back up. It was like painful every time I took a step, and I was
Oh,
stressing. So Disney does do
yeah.
different corrals when you get into it. So there's at Disneyland, at least, there's corral A through I. And that you don't know what corral you're going to get in, which means you don't know how close you are going to start to the balloon ladies. And I knew I was going into this kind of hurt. I was going to have some pain. And so I knew I was going to have to probably do a little bit more walking than running. And I got to the check-in for Run Disney, and I got corral D out of I, and which is very high up. And let me tell you, I
Mhm.
practically cried. Pretty sure I did have some tears, let's be honest. But I literally was so grateful because I knew that that gave me the leeway to run just a little bit. I was really grateful. There's these like leg compression things. You can buy them on Amazon, but you just put your legs in, and it compresses your muscles and then releases it. And I sat in those like 3 to 4 times a day, and that really healed me and got me to the point where I was able to do it. I still had some pain, but with a compression sleeve, it wasn't like an enormous amount of pain, so I could actually complete it. But yeah, I was terrified. I really was.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that was
bad.
my biggest fear too, was like I had heard horror stories of like people getting injured right before the race. And I was like, please don't let this happen to me. I just spent all this money. Let's talk about that for a minute because I don't think we have a segment where we talk about how much it costs.
I have
But
no idea how much ours cost. I couldn't
how
remember.
do you mind sharing how much yours cost? I mean, they can go look it up on the website, but do you mind sharing how much yours
Yeah,
cost?
no, it cost us $250 per person, so both me and my husband did it, so it was $500, and I hated paying every single penny of that. It is not cheap to do a Run
Yeah.
Disney race, but I will say
No.
it was one of those things where I knew how much I paid, and a lot of other 10Ks, you're paying like $60 or $40 or $20, whatever it is, but when you pay that much money, and if you really want to get your health in shape, like this was the push I needed. I went and ran today and I was like, I want to keep this going. I want to keep my health. And so for me, it was just super exciting to be like, I paid this money. Every other time I've signed up for something, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care. But knowing how much I paid really motivated me to make sure I actually completed the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but it is expensive. So like for a Run Disney race, it's about 250 for a 5K. A 10K is about, all right, so it says, I'm sorry, like a wine and dine weekend for Disney World. So for 5K it's 119. For a 10K it's 166. For a half marathon it's 257 for that. And that's the same just about for I think the virtual races too. Do you remember how much your virtual one was back in the day, Noah?
Yeah, so the virtual races, it splits it up into 3 4Ks, I think, or 3 5Ks or something like that. Anyway, they
Okay.
change it all the time, but the current one is the Christmas challenge. It's the virtual 12K Christmas challenge, and it's themed to the Muppets. So I kind of want to do it now,
You
like really
should.
badly. So it's 3 4Ks. It's $267 per person.
Okay.
I think that was about the same amount as it was when I did it in 2020. It might have been a little cheaper back then. But yeah, you get 3 medals with this one and like a special hoodie and a tea bag.
Yeah, I know we'll probably talk about merch later, but just a little quick note for the virtual runs. With the runs that you do on property, you get a medal. I mean, unless things change, and they have like their run expos that you can go buy merch for the event. But for the virtual virtual runs, they send you way more than just the medal. And so I kind of feel like mentally for me, which I'm not a math person, but I'm like, man, I'm getting more bang for my buck to do this at home, you know?
Yeah. And it just
I think
depends
I
on the
only got
race.
the medals last time.
It
I only got
depends on the
medals in
race.
2020.
So they sometimes offer t-shirts. They'll definitely do like downloadable race bibs or things like that you can do as well. Okay, let's talk about race weekend itself. We're not talking about running the races, but like leading up into the races. So for the first question I kind of had was it's not on our notes. I'm going rogue, okay? Dangerous. How
Okay, I didn't even read the
did you
notes.
go for the parks, or like how did it affect your park going when you were planning on doing this race? We'll start with Jessalyn since we haven't started with Jessalyn yet.
Well, I remember always being at the parks. So
Yeah.
I remember like we went to the park the day before. Just for a little bit though, because we spent the majority of the day at the expo. I think I remember that. And then the day of the race, like, because you have to run. I don't want to get ahead of your notes, RJ, but you're running at like 3:00 in the morning because they got to do this before the park opens, before guests get there. So you're doing it so early. And we did it in January. It was very, very cold that week. It's not usually that cold in Florida, but I like had on 3 layers of pants. Like it was just so cold. And but we went into the park that day, and I remember at one point the majority of our family had a dining reservation. RJ and I did not have that dining reservation. And we were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to sit here. And we sat outside the restaurant until their dining reservation was over because I was like, I can't even think about moving through the park right now.
That's amazing.
Did it affect your park time at all, Carissa?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be that person. We actually had friends come with us on this trip that have never been to Disney before, and I really thought I was just gonna be able to like go to the park afterwards. Like, I'll be fine. I had done like
Yeah.
in my training, I'd done 10 miles a couple times, like, and I mean I was sore, but I was manageable. Yeah, so I ended up with 6 different blisters on my feet, to the point where like my little pinky toe was so blistered, actually my toenail came off. So it was fun. Yeah. So I ended up
Wow.
yeah, it was lots of fun.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty
that's an
common for
achievement.
runners to lose toenails. That's pretty
Ew.
common.
Now I don't want to be a runner.
You hear about that, but you never think it's gonna happen to you.
Right. No, exactly.
I'm going to keep my toenails. Thank you very much.
But
Yeah, so I ended up
uh,
going back. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I ended up going back and I ended up relaxing for a little bit. I soaked in a warm bath. Someone actually suggested that I bring Epsom salts, and I'm glad that I did. So I brought Epsom salts and I soaked in a warm bath at my hotel. And then I went to the parks probably about 1:00 that day. And I did actually complete 3 park days and an Oogie Boogie night after that, though. I will say that was impressive.
Oh, you did
Nice.
a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, which is merch and the expo. So before the race weekends at Disney World, and it sounds like at Disneyland too, that they have an expo. For Disney World, the last time we did it, I believe they still do it there as well. They do their expo at the ESPN Worldwide Sports Complex. And so basically the expo is where you go. I think you get your bib and then you have the opportunity to go get in line and go into this it's almost like a conference center type layout where they've just got different booths with tons of merch. And you can buy like different t-shirts or this year at the Disneyland one, I won't spoil it, but there's some cool exclusive merch for Disneyland that I thought that they would I'll let Karisa talk about in just a minute. But there is a lot of cool merch. And so we brought a lot of the merch today to show you what we got. So when you're planning out and budgeting out these Run Disney events, the thing that you want to focus on is it's not just $250. No, you're going to want the t-shirt that commemorates it. You're going to want the hat.
Yeah.
You're going to want the, whatever commemorative medal and magnet and all of it. And so it's going to cost a lot more than $250 if you want all that merch. So Carissa, we'll go ahead and start with you. And you can show off some of the merch that you got from the Run Disney Expo, and maybe talk about some of the ones that you wish you could have afforded.
Seriously. I was expecting going into this trip, like, I want to spend money on merch. Like, that's what I knew I wanted to. I love Disney merch, though. That's just like my happy place. The one thing I went in really wanting was the Pandora charm, because I do collect Pandora charms. And so I thought it was really cool that it actually says what race you're doing, and it says like the 13.1 on there, and it says like the Disney, and then actually, so Maleficent was our character because it was a Halloween half marathon, and it actually had Maleficent on it.
That's cool.
And I thought that was really cool. And I'm not like, my Pandora charm's coming back, okay? The 2000s are coming back, all right? So I was really excited about that Pandora charm. And then, they do give you, so like, I'm wearing it now, but they do give you like a race t-shirt that you get for free. Well, I mean, free included in your $250. And then they do give you a medal, of course, when you actually finish the race. And so this is so the medals, honestly, people don't talk about this enough. They are
sick.
So neat.
Yes.
The medals are like, they're solid. They're like solid. I don't even know how to describe them, but you could like knock someone out with these medals. Literally, they are such good quality. And we were really impressed with it. And
we won't
then
show all our medals during the merch section. We'll wait until the very end and show them.
Sounds good. And then the one thing I did not know, and I don't like super follow Run Disney, was like they were gonna have like a whole Brooks tent. Yeah, I love it.
You got the Brooks
oh, that's amazing.
Ah,
Yes. So you can go try on different they have like these try on shoes. They're not like the official ones, but like they're the Brooks brand with like this type of shoe.
Hmm.
And you go in and you try them all these different like sizes and wide foot or not wide foot, whatever you want to try on. And then afterwards you go over and they actually I didn't get them. I got the Minnie Mouse ones, but they actually had specific Brooks for this race weekend. They were villains themed. They were like purple and they
Oh,
looked like
that's
Wow.
Maleficent.
cool.
Yeah, and they were
Oh, that's
super neat.
awesome.
So, like but I loved it. I was not expecting to buy shoes there, I'm not gonna lie, but I was like, "Well, I can't buy them online," and they if they do go online, they sell it very quickly, so, I ended up
Oh
with the
yeah.
shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
absolutely. I
awesome.
would 100% buy the shoes as well. I have
Oh
had
yeah.
my eyes on those shoes for like ever, and I was like, if only I was a runner again. But I'm telling you what, we're having this conversation, and I'm thinking I'm gonna download Runkeeper again. I'm gonna start running.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
as well.
Yes,
All right,
Listen,
let's talk
it's
about
an
our merch,
investment, but it's
Jessalyn.
great.
Oh, sorry.
it is. It is an investment,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think, like you said, it like a goal. Like I need some sort of goal in life.
All
We
right,
should
so
we should all do the Muppets one. The
Ooh,
Muppets
maybe.
virtual 12K.
I don't
I
know.
don't
I'm
think
kind
I'm
of
ready for
envious
that.
that I missed this Maleficent one because she's my
Oh,
she's
you're
my
gonna be envious of
favorite.
the one you missed in the beginning of summer because I really wanted to do it.
The Dole
All
Whip
right,
one.
so
No.
the one that I got was called a Bondi band, which I used to wear a lot when I was running, and this would kind of like go around your head and hold your headphones in, and cause your hold on, let me get it
Yes,
on.
yes. Please show us how this Bondi band works.
So it would kind of like sit on your head
There's a
like
profile
this.
picture.
And what I liked about it is like it would hold your headphones in place and then it would keep like sweat off your face. But what I really liked about that is it kept sweat out of your eyes because whenever I would run, like the sweat would always fall down in my eyes and make my eyes burn. So what I really like about these Bondi bands is that it would prevent sweat from going into my eyes. We too got the shirts. So we got the 10K shirt from the 2018 run that we did, and then on the back it had like all the sponsors for that year and all that. So that was the shirt that they gave us. I bought the Bondi band from the store because I was really into those at the time, and then I got this one from Marathon Weekend just because I liked it because it had all the different characters on it. So I was looking for something specific that had all the characters on it, and then it showed like all the races that they did and all that, and so I really like that shirt. What shirt or what merch did you get, Jessalyn?
Okay, so I also got a Bondi van, but I did the purple one because, I'm a girl. And I I also got that goodness, what was that shirt you just showed us? The
Oh,
blue.
the long
Yeah.
sleeve shirt. It's
Yeah.
like that baseball sleeve shirt.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also got this one. It's a 10K. I did it. But on
Oh,
my
that's
favorite
cool.
thing about it is on the back, it shows the map that you ran
Oh, that's cool.
and like how you start and finish at Epcot. This shirt's very special. I mean, unfortunately, it does not fit me anymore. I can definitely tell looking at the sizing of this shirt that things were a lot different when I ran this race. And then like Karissa, I also love the Pandora charms. And so I don't have my Pandora bracelet with me, but I got one of the dangle charms and it says Run Disney on one side and on the back side it has Mickey running. So I love that.
It looks like Carissa disconnected. She was having a little bit of internet issues at the beginning, so hopefully
I
she'll
didn't
be
get
able
any
to
merch. I'm
reconnect.
merchless besides the medals.
Oh, no, just the medals. Your medals didn't come with anything else?
They might come with something else like a toboggan or something, but I don't know.
Oh,
It
okay.
was too long ago where that was definitely thrown away, whatever it was.
I gotcha. Well,
Well,
Carissa,
welcome
since
back,
Carissa's
Carissa.
back with us, I want to
She's
show her my
returned.
shirt. So this is Carissa, this is the shirt I got. It says the 10K I did it, but what I love about it on the back is that it has the map of the track that I ran around Epcot, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's super cool. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a Pandora charm too, but I'm like you. I love the Pandora charms. But I don't have my bracelet with me. But I'm a collector of those.
All right, let's jump into while we still have Carissa connected, and hopefully she'll stay connected this time. And hopefully we don't lose anything. We'll give it our shot. No, it's totally fine. All right, let's go and talk about race day itself. So Carissa kind of alluded to this a little bit, where they have the corrals for race day, where what you do is when you're getting ready for the race day, you can submit a time of a previous 5K. And that will only help your chances of getting into a higher corral. So the corrals are based on your previous race times. You can do like a virtual K or something like that to try and get those submitted. But they do it where it's like the ultra competitive, like they're going to finish the race and they're going to win racers are going to be in the front half of the A corral. And then with the last corral, it's going to be like your I'm going to walk the whole entire time type people. And so that's how they used to do it. I'm not sure if that's the way they still do it, but what we had to do was submit another 5K so that we can get in. If not, then they just put you into a random later corral. So that's what they used to do with us. I don't know. Did you have to submit a race for yours, Carissa?
So when they told us that it had to be actually an official race, it couldn't be a virtual one. It had to be something that you've run. I was not signing up to do another half marathon. Like that sounded horrible to me. And so I ended up just selecting the fastest time other than the ones that you had to like submit. So if you were faster than a 12:50 per pace, 12:50 per minute pace. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying that right. But if you were faster than that, you submitted an official time. If you're not faster than that, you just select that. And so I selected that and I got Corral D. I know people that selected that and they were all the way in back in Corral H. So I don't know if it's because it was my first RunDisney race and it was not. So they really, now next one, I'm curious if they would let me do that again because I've already run one. I might be towards the back of the pack because I did not keep a 12:50 pace. But my husband did. So I'm curious too, if since we registered together, maybe it allowed us to be at a better corral. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely pick whatever the fastest time is. Don't put a later time.
Yeah. Now, Noah, when you were doing yours, the actual race day, what did you have to do for a virtual? Like, did you just go ahead and run the race and they would give you the medal regardless? Or how does that work for the virtual 5Ks?
I actually don't really remember. We just kind of ran, and my mom said, "Look at the camera." I was like, "Ah," and then she took a picture of us and said, "Okay, now they'll give us our medals." And that's kind of all that happened.
I was hoping he would know. With the virtual 5Ks, you do take a picture of your race, and you can take a picture of your map too, and then you submit a time online so that you can get that race time submitted for your medals. It's just kind of showing that you actually ran the race. Now, I'm sure
I wouldn't be surprised if mom just made up the number. I would not be surprised by that and just took the picture and sent it in and then said, "Yeah, it took us like 20 minutes to do all that."
Yeah, possibly. Now, Jessalyn, you can speak to this. The race day morning of, how did that look for us?
Oh man, it was so crazy because okay. Well, I'm trying to decide how much I should share, but I did not get a lot of sleep the night before my race, and so it was really hard. I just a lot of things combined with it, and you have to be in your corral by 3 get ready to run, and so. I told you we did this in January. It's not normally super cold in January, but this was really abnormal. Like we were freezing.
I remember it was cold.
Yes,
it was very cold.
And I'm not being over dramatic when I said I had layers of clothes on, like because it was that cold, and so we get so you have to be in your corral by 3, but you got to catch the bus before then to make sure you get in time and you check in and you do all this stuff. So there's a process. So 2:00 in the morning, we're 2:30, we're grabbing a bus. Okay. And so we get there, they have like DJs going, they got Mickey and Minnie out and their race and you outfits and you take pictures with them. People are using the porta johns and all this stuff. And then we go get in our corral. And it's so cold. In this one little corral, you have me and Cindy and you have my dad and RJ, Kathleen, and Jared. And we're just all so cold and we're just huddling. Well, my dad is right behind me and he leans over, he goes, "I hate peer pressure." He's like, "The only reason I'm here is because your brothers talked me into this." And so that just cracked me up, but it was just so early and so cold. But that was the process for us. You catching the bus, the DJ, Mickey and Minnie taking pictures with them and checking in and all the stuff.
Yeah, I remember going. There were some disgusting things that happened.
There
with
was
runners.
some really, runners are gross. Like,
but it was so cold that after the race and even prior to the race, they were giving out Mylar blankets so that people could wrap themselves in those Mylar blankets. And people were huddled together like in groups, just like wrapped with Mylar blankets because that's how cold it was. And even with all those bodies in that corral, which there were a lot of bodies together, like it was still freezing cold and you're bumping up against people. But that's how cold it was. And that's abnormal for Florida. Like Jessalyn said, like that wasn't a normal event type thing. And then, like, once you get started with the race itself, Karisa, while you're connected and this is working right now, while you're in the race itself, what was that like? Like, was it just a typical 5K or a half marathon in your case, or what was different that made it the Disney experience?
Like we said earlier, honestly, the cast members coming out and cheering you on, that was probably my favorite part. They even had like the maintenance staff was out there like cheering you on, the cleaning staff. It was a vibe. Everyone was so excited to be there. And especially the DJs that they had them playing music all throughout, and it was just fun music. I mean, everyone was like had headphones in or whatever, but they would all start singing together, and it was so neat to see. And there's just something surreal about running through the castle, seeing the backstage. That was one of the coolest parts of Disneyland is you see most of the backstage where just cast members can go. We saw like where they eat, like where their cafeterias are. We saw where they keep the horses. The horses stables for the ones that come out on Main Street. We saw so many very cool things that you wouldn't get to see otherwise. And it was just a small glimpse into the thing that makes me happy, Disney, right? The things that I enjoy about Disney. But they find amazing ways to hype you up and keep you going. Not to mention people, the drinks and the snacks. And they gave us like little gummies that you could, give you more energy as you're going. Things like that. It's just the Disney difference and the way that they take care of you as a runner is fantastic.
Yeah. And I don't know how it was for you at your race, but like one of the things I remember specifically about my race was that not only did at your checkpoints did they have these cool like pictures and images you could do at each mile marker, but also between each mile marker you had like unique characters that you could just get out of the race for and just stand in line to get a picture with the character. And I loved it because they were unique characters. And so I thought that was pretty cool.
I was so jealous when I saw Oswald at one, and I was like,
yeah.
I want to meet Oswald so bad. And like at DCA, I've heard you can meet him a lot. Like he's just like a normal character you can meet. But the first time I ever saw him was at a Run Disney race, and I was like, oh, now I want to run a marathon just so I can meet Oswald.
Yeah, for me it was the character meet and greets on the side. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Since ours was the half marathon, they actually had a bunch of the parade floats for like the Oogie Boogie Bash parades, like the people that do the I don't know what it's called, but they have like the shovels and stuff where they make the marks. They actually had them out there interacting, taking pictures with people. They had so many of the floats and different things. Cool. So that was really neat.
Yeah, so for ours cool. Even too, we got to see some of the backlot of like Epcot and some of the backlot areas that we wouldn't normally get to see unless you're like paying for a tour. But that was really neat to be able to see some of those elements. But it was also really cool to be able to experience those character meet and greets. We didn't do all the character pictures, or at least I didn't anyway. We were kind of running on our own. Jessalyn, I think, ran with Kathleen maybe for a little bit.
And Cindy.
I can't remember.
I stayed with
and
them.
Cindy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw you guys. We cheered you on. It was so fun.
Yeah, for me, I just ran it on my own, and so like I didn't stop for every character meet and greet. I think looking back, I probably would if I did it all over again, but in that moment, I just felt like I wanted to run more than I wanted. I was just like, please let me finish. That was my honest hope and thought with all of it, was like, I just hope I finish this thing. Okay, let's go on to the finish line after the race is all over. What did it feel like to finally accomplish that goal that you've been training for so long? What was that like, just crossing that finish line at Disney? So we'll let Karisa go first, since she's still connected and we got it, and then we'll jump over to all of us.
You know, it's some mixed emotions. Part of me just wanted to like literally die, and just wanted to sit down and do absolutely nothing else. And then the other part of me was like, wow, this is cool. I will say it took me to get till I got back to the hotel, had some time to rest, eat my plastic cheese, which we need to make a mention of that. I don't know why they give you the worst plastic cheese in the world after running a marathon. But that was like, okay, the moment where I really was like, cool, I can breathe. I did this. I accomplished this. At that moment, I said never again. It's only been a few weeks, and I'm like, okay, maybe I could do this again, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that sets Disney apart too, is like they don't just give you a medal, but they were giving us medals, they were giving us Mylar blankets, they were giving us snack boxes at the end of that race. And so they were giving you all sorts of stuff. Like it felt like, I spent however much money on this that I spent, but I felt like the money was worth it when we got to the end of it. Jessalyn, what do you think?
I just know, like, I remember the beginning of the race, I really felt like I dragged. And I think it kind of goes back to what Chris and I were saying at the beginning, where she started in the park and there was like this hype, and then she ended outside the park, which was like, I just need to get this race over with. And I think the thing that helped me was, because it is such a mental game. The beginning, it's just woods and it's cold and you're running on this highway. And then as soon as we got into Epcot, it's like I got this rush. And I remember at one point, Cindy and Kathleen were kind of taking their time, and I was like, I'm going. Like, I'm ready just to bolt right now. And I was so excited. It was so fun. And I just remember seeing that finish line, just feeling accomplished. Like you had this goal. I had been training for this goal for a long time. And I just, and I ran and ran, and I made sure I had my hands up, like, like Rocky at the finish line. And then Cindy, who is my dear, 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 dear friend, has this picture in her house of her doing the same thing, and she like cut off half of my body in the picture frame. So it's like all you see is like my arm and one leg, like, yeah, I did this. Yes, every time I see it, I'm like, that's me, that's my arm.
you should next time you're here, you should get a little like post-it note and say, that's me, just
I should.
All right, let's talk about what we all run for in general. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I do have to mention, like, that is something people don't realize is there's cameras. And I didn't realize that actually, that you should look at the cameras when you're running, and there are different photographers throughout, because I figured it out after a couple like photographers that they were actually just trying to take pictures of us individually. And I got some good pictures of myself throughout the race. My husband, on the other hand, had no clue. He was focused. He was running, and like all of his pictures are like just grumpy face and like, I'm just trying to get through this. So that is something to mention. Please pay attention where the photographers are, because it is cool to have good photos of this at the end.
That is Yeah, that's a great point, because I remember specifically, like, Cindy and Kathleen and I are like, oh, look, there's a camera, let's act like we're running. And we would, like, be all happy, and we would do weird poses or whatever. And so we were watching out for those. That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have them, like, hidden in these little tents for when we had our race. Maybe it was because it was cold or something. But they were, like, sitting in these little tents where you could hardly see them, except they had their little camera poking out of the tent. But that was the only way you knew. So I'm not sure if they did the same for Karisa's, but yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, let's talk about these
medals.
Oh my goodness. This is why we ran, right? Oh, that's cool, Noah. I like that
I have
one.
so many cooler ones. I have 4.
Oh, okay. So that was mine from 2018. What was yours, Jessalyn? We got the incredible ones from our virtual race.
I also have the one from 2018. I keep it on my wall here. So that's my Minnie Mouse polka dot one. That's the one I'm most proud of. This one here, we did a virtual run. So RJ has 2 up and I have 2 up. So what it was is you did 3 5Ks and then you got a finisher medal for doing the 3 5Ks.
Mm-hmm.
So we each have a set of this, but we could only find one set. We used to have our medals on display, but then we decided to throw them in a drawer. But now that we're talking about running again, I'm going to get these suckers out and I'm going to start running. And so
we should do the Muppets one. I'm saying we do the Muppets virtual.
That's too close.
They're 4Ks. They're 3 4Ks.
Something that people don't talk about is there is actually a challenge medal, like a coast to coast one. I don't know if y'all know about that, but there's a coast to coast one. So if you do a race in California and you do a race in Florida, you can actually get like a separate medal and it says you raced from coast to coast. The one at ours lit up and it spun. It was super cool. So I was like, well, new goal unlocked.
Oh, I want one of those.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, these medals are like a great design. They put a lot of thought into them. Sometimes they spin, sometimes they open up, and they have a 3D effect. They're not like I don't want to say cheap because I know money goes into all medals, but you know, a lot of times your run medals are like this big. These are like legit heavy medals, not like rock band heavy medals, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, they do put a lot of thought into their medals, and I think that's part of the price that goes into it is like you get that Disney quality with all the things that you buy, the merch or the medals or anything like that. You just get that guaranteed Disney quality that I really like. All right, hopefully this episode all works out. But Karisa, any final thoughts before we end our episode for today?
I think it's one of those things that, like, yes, it might not be for everyone. I will say something that a really big takeaway for me was I really thought I was going to be the only one out there walking a good portion of it. I really thought I was going to be left in the dust. Everyone is going to be super far away from me, and I was going to have no one to walk with, and I was going to feel like, I don't know. I just kind of had this head game of like, I can't do this, right? And I was so impressed. I met people along the way. Everyone was encouraging me, encouraging each other. I saw the balloon ladies, literally one of them separated and was actually carrying this girl on her shoulders, practically, like not carrying her, but like had her arm around her shoulders and was like, we're just going to walk together. You can do this. So if you're looking for a goal in your life or like a race to start with, Disney's it, man.
Yeah.
Very supportive.
Yep.
Noah, any final thoughts? Do you want to do an actual race now instead of just
I kind of do. Like I've seen so many races where I was like, oh, I want to do that one. Like this past year, they did the Happily Ever After challenge, where you had to do Big Thunder and like certain ones, and you get the Happily Ever After Castle medal and stuff. I was like, oh, I want to do that one. Then one year, one of the 10Ks in the parks was the Oswald medal, and I wanted that one bad.
Yeah.
So now maybe next year, like 2027. Guys.
Hey, listen, I have a dream to run the Princess Half at Disneyland. That's my dream. So let's I need to get Karisa and Cindy and we can just do a girls run through
me and RJ can be there.
But it's the Princess Half. Come on.
Yeah, we can cheer you on.
For it.
It's like whenever y'all did your race, it was so funny because we cheered you on.
Okay, I do have one more funny story to share because when Jared did his Dopey, we were out there. We were not in the parks because the Dopey's the full marathon, which I don't know if we broke that down, but let me break it down really quick. So you do four races in 4 days. The first day's the 5K, second day's the 10, the third day's the half, and the last day's the full. So that's if you do all of that, that's called the Dopey challenge. And so he was doing his Dopey, and like the park is open at this point, and he's going through Epcot, which was like the end of his race. And so we were all outside the Boardwalk Resort, and we were cheering him on. We're like, yeah, okay, so there's this bakery at the Boardwalk Resort that has like the best cinnamon rolls ever. Okay, and so we knew he was coming soon. I ran and got a cinnamon roll, and so I was like sitting on the ground, and I have my phone out, and I'm like videotaping Jared. I'm like, yeah, go Jared. And then I pan down on my cinnamon roll and I'm like, this is how I'm spending my marathon.
But they do have one of the best cinnamon rolls on property, for
Not as
sure.
good as Gaston's Tavern.
Oh,
no, these are
probably
better.
Not.
Really?
Oh,
They
yeah,
used
they're
to
better.
be. I don't
Uh-oh.
know if they still are. They changed the owners of it, so we'll have to
Oh,
go
that's
back
right.
and
They
see.
did. Yeah, I'm sorry
Um,
about that.
The last thing I will say is they do a good job of, for those who are spectating, of having the ability to track your runner. So if you have
Yeah.
I believe it's their bib information, you can actually track your runner so
Oh,
you know
yeah.
where they're at and their progress during the race. And that way you can follow them and keep an eye on them and know when they're getting ready to get close to your cheer center. I think that's a really cool thing that Disney does that helps you to be able to cheer on your runner. So if you're not the one running, you're just a spectator. That's also a really cool element of it, that you can keep track of those people. Now, those computer systems are not perfect. Sometimes they'll miss a checkpoint or something like that. But for the most part, like 80% of the time, it
was
probably
accurate
worked
for
well.
us.
Yeah.
Like we just stepped outside of the. I think it was one across from Boardwalk, Yacht and Beach Club. We were staying there for like 3 days, and we just stepped out. We're like, "Hey, Mom, go, go, go!" And they're like, "Let's go back inside. It's freezing out here. Get some breakfast." Like we stayed there for 5 seconds, and she's gone. Let's go.
Yeah, but I do think that that's another really cool thing. There's so much more we could talk about with Run Disney. I think the events are just really well done, and I enjoyed the event. I definitely would do it again. I just don't know if I would do it again maybe in a year or two when I get better in shape. But anyway,
let's do it.
thank you so much, Karisa, for coming
Yes,
on
thank
and
you,
joining
Karissa.
with us and talking about
Thank
the
you.
Disneyland aspect. And remind me again, what's the name of your travel agency if people want to go and look you up?
Yeah, it's Crews. It's Crews into vacay. So that's my last name, a little bit of a play on my last name. But yeah, it was such a great time. I always love chatting with you guys. But yeah, if you're wanting a goal, Run Disney's it. It's awesome. Honestly, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Any other final thoughts?
I'm
We
good.
should do the Muppet.
No,
12Ks,
that's
or 4Ks for the 12K,
Maybe.
12 Days of Christmas.
Go download Run Keeper app and go find some Facebook groups of people who run in Disney races and get a fan club going.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for listening and hanging out, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode and got a little bit more information about Run Disney events. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. We appreciate you hanging out, and now we are not going to play the same pre-recorded message we played last week.
We should have our own challenge, the Carousel of Conversations challenge.
Okay.
It's like a 1K, so we
Run
know we can
5
all.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our show. Before you go, please don't forget to gather your belongings and head over to our email at carouselpod@gmail.com to ask us your questions. Oh, and wouldn't you believe it? You can now bring the magical sense of vacation right into your home. Check out the Magic Candle Company and use our exclusive link with the code CarouselPod at checkout to get 15% off your order. And don't forget, we're here to help you plan your future Disney trips. Just send us a message at rj@famvia.com. Until next time, we'll see you in a great, big, beautiful week.